and good morning to all my lovely students out there. I welcome you all for today's English class. Students, as you all know that in our last class we have started module number 7 from our English workbook part 2, where we have taken the topic of homophones and we have seen the use of the word to, TO2, TWO2 and TOO2. So we have seen there that the word to refers to when we use about direction, it is a preposition, tells us about the direction of an object, whereas the word TWO2 is the numerical number of the number 2, right? And it signifies quantity. And also we have seen that TOO2 means also, and also it means what, more than or lesser than something. So I hope you have understood that, students, and I've checked your homework. Many of you have done it correctly. So in today's class, students, we are going to move ahead, and the next topic in today's class which we are going to take is modal verbs. So what is our learning outcome, students? So by the end of today's class, each one of you will be able to define, identify, differentiate and use modal verbs appropriately, that means correctly. So let's get started, students. Let us first start with the meaning of main verb and helping verb. By now all of you know what a verb is, right, students? Verb are action words and there are various kinds of verbs. So first let us recall back what are main verbs. So in one of the column you can see, students, main verbs are action words. They show the action that the noun does or the state of being of the noun. So main verb means what? It is an action word which shows the action which the noun has done, right? Or the state of being of the noun. Let us see some examples for your better understanding. Subhash lives in Assam. So here in this particular sentence, students, you have seen that here the subject Subhash lives. So which is the action word? That is lives, which states the action or the state of being of the noun which is Subhash. Similarly, see example number 2, Meera sings well. Here in this particular sentence we can see that Meera is the subject or the noun which is what? Which is expert in singing, right? So sings is the verb over here. Now this kind of verb shows what? Denotes action. So these kind of verbs are called as the main verb in a sentence. On the next side, you can see the meaning of the helping verbs, right? What are helping verbs then? As the name suggests, helping verbs are what? They are verbs that helps the main action words, that is the main verb. Helping verbs are words that do not show any action but helps the main verb to complete its meaning. They are also called auxiliary verbs. Now I know many of you like watching movies, right? So in a movie, every movie you see what? You see heroes or actors, which is the hero of that particular movie. And you often find that there is a best friend of this hero who helps the hero to accomplish his task, right? So similarly in this particular verb also, you can see that the main verb is being helped by helping verbs. So it is acting like a friend to the main verb to convey its meaning. So these are called as what? These are called as helping verb or auxiliary verbs. Let us see some examples for better understanding. Number 1, they are playing in the park. Now in this sentence, students, Can you identify the verb, the action word? The main verb is playing, right? Playing denotes what? Playing denotes the action over here, right, students? Yes, but it is being helped by the auxiliary or helping verb, which is are, right? Are itself, the word are itself is not doing any action, but is simply helping the main verb to convey the meaning. Because of the help of the helping verb, the main verb can convey its meaning in a proper manner. It also tells us the tense of the verb, right? Supposingly, students, if I remove the word are, then what happens to the sentence? They playing in the park. Now, this sentence is grammatically incorrect, right? So, the helping verb, basically what does it do? It helps the main verb in conveying the meaning. Okay, let us see one more example. I am making eggs for dinner. Which is the main verb in the sentence? The main verb is making some sort of activity, right? But which is the helping verb or auxiliary verb? Can you identify it, students? Yes, you are correct. It's am, right? I am making eggs for dinner. So students, by now we have recalled back what are verbs, action words. Main verbs are the action words which denotes action in a sentence, and helping verbs are verbs that do not denote any action in a sentence, but it helps the main verb to convey its meaning. So let us move ahead, students. There's a small activity for you all. Identify the main verb and helping verbs in the following sentences. Let us see the various sentences. Rohan is playing guitar. In this particular sentence, playing shows what? Playing shows the real action. It is the main verb, right? And which is the helping verb or auxiliary verb? Is. Very good. Similarly, look at sentence number 2. Mary cooks very well. Here is, which is the main verb? Cooks. Is there any helping verb? Auxiliary verb? No. Okay, let us go to the next sentence. We are going to the park. Okay, students. Can we identify the main verb? Yes, going, right? It signifies what? It shows action. And which is the helping verb or auxiliary verb? It is are. And let us see the next one, the last sentence. I can sing well. Now, who can tell me, students? Yes, sing is what? Sing denotes action. It is called as the main verb. And what is can? Can is an auxiliary verb which denotes the state of the subject, right? It helps us, the readers, to know more about the subject, that is the noun. So here, students, by now you are able to identify the main verb and the auxiliary verb. As I was telling you, today's topic is modal verbs. So this will actually help you to understand what are modal verbs. So let's move ahead. Now we come to the meaning of modal verbs. Modal verbs are auxiliary or helping verbs that gives additional information about the main verbs that follow them. They express necessity, ability, possibility, or permission. So what are modal verbs? They are also helping verbs called as auxiliary verbs. And what do? They give us information about the main verb. And also they express what? They express necessity, ability of the noun, possibility, or at times it also shows permission. There are 9 modal verbs in English. This is very, very important, students. There are 9 modal verbs in English. So let us see which are those modal verbs. Must, shall, will, should, would, can, could, may, and might. So all of you should remember all the 9 modal verbs. So let us move ahead, students. Modal verbs of ability and permission. So in your textbook we will be dealing about the modal verbs of ability and permission. The modal verbs which are used for ability, denoting ability, and also denoting permission. Okay, seeking for permission. So on the one hand side you can see modal verbs of ability. On the other side you can see modal verbs for permission. So let us see. Can, for modal verbs of ability, can shows the ability of the particular subject, right? Ability in the present. So whenever we denote some ability in the present tense, can is being used. Could, what about could? Could, that is modal verb of ability. Could is used whenever we tend to show something in the past. Alright, students. Whereas modal verbs for permission, that means for seeking permission from somebody, we also use can, which is a little bit less formal. It is not very formal. You can use it with your friends, okay, with your near and dear ones. Whereas we use the modal verb may for a formal conversation, could for a very polite conversation, and might for a very extreme polite conversation. So students, let us see this modal verb of ability first one by one with the help of examples, and also modal verb for permission with the help of examples for better understanding. So here modal verbs of ability. Ability means what? Is the quality which one is capable of doing. So here modal verbs of ability in a positive and negative. Positive means yes, with a plus point, right? So how can we use that modal verbs of ability? The first example of the modal verb can. I can play the guitar very well. So here we can see that can is what? Can is a modal verb. It is a verb. You can see there it is a verb which tells us about the ability of the subject, and it is a helping verb because it is helping the main verb which is play. There you can see play, play, right? It denotes, it tells us that the person I, that means I myself, I have the ability, right? I have the ability to play guitar. Now students, if I turn this into a negative modal verb of ability into a negative one, I simply have to add not after the modal verb. Can you see that? We can change it into a negative one. Rima cannot play table tennis. So if I can say Rima can play table tennis, I want to make this statement negative. Rima cannot play table tennis. I cannot play the guitar very well. So in this way you can change a positive modal verb of ability into a negative one by simply adding not to the modal verb. Let us see the next one, the next modal verb which is used for the past tense, which we have seen, right? Could. Bina could walk when she was just 11 months old, right? So it is showing what? Positive thing, something which is positive. But it is relating with the past. Bina could walk when she was just 11 months old. Now here the word could is a modal verb which is telling us something about the main verb. Which is the main verb in this sentence, students? Yes, absolutely correct. It is walk, right? Walk, it denotes action. Now, similarly, the negative of the word could. Let us see an example. Meghna could not write until she was 7, right? So here, as I told you, you can simply make a positive modal verb of ability into a negative one by simply adding not after the modal verb and before the main verb. That is, in between the modal verb and the main verb, if you place not, then a modal verb of ability will be changed into a negative one. Positive will be changed into a negative one. Now their modal verbs of ability can also, this is the can and could, can also be changed into questions like this. You can see it on your screen. Can you speak Chinese? Now here, which is the verb? If suppose they ask you a question, which is identify the verb here in this sentence, you can easily identify the main verb is speak, right? But there is another verb which is helping the main verb to convey the meaning. Now which is that? Can you identify it? Yes, it is modal verb of ability can, right? It is helping to make a question, right? It is showing something related to the ability of the person. For example, one more example, could you read or write before you were 6? Now here also you can see the main verb action denoting word is read or write, but here the modal verb is helping us to convey the meaning with the help of the main verb. So it is good. This type of modal verb of ability is used for asking question. Alright students, now let us see some examples of modal verb for permission. Modal verbs for permission. Permission means to ask or seek something, right? So in one side you can see modal verb for permission, on the other side giving for permission. So here we have already seen can, could, right? So here we will be seeing some other modal verbs like may and might as well. So for asking for permission, which is less formal, we use the modal verb can. Can I watch the movie now? Right? So this is a modal verb which is asking for permission, seeking for permission. Now which is the main verb in this particular sentence, question sentence, which seeks for permission? It is watch, right? And which is the modal verb? Can. Yes, can. Modal verb for permission. Now giving permission, on the other side you can just see I have written there, you can watch the movie now. Now in this sentence the permission has been granted, so you can watch the movie now. Let us see the next one, may. May is much more formal than the modal verb can. May I borrow your book? So here we can also see borrow is the main action verb, right? But may is what? May is the modal verb for permission, right? It is used for asking something for permission. Now giving permission, you may borrow my book, right? Similarly, see could, a modal verb for permission, could I take a leave tomorrow? Now this is also very polite. It is used in a very polite sense. Now which is the main verb in this sentence? Take. Yes, that's very good. It's take, right? And which is the modal verb used for permission over here? Could. Now giving permission, you could take a leave tomorrow. And the last one is might. Modal verb for permission, for asking permission is might. Might I give an idea which is extremely polite. This is an extreme polite manner. So the answer or the permission would be granted. You might give an idea. So students, with that we come to the end of the topic modal verbs. So in today's class, what have we seen, students? We have recalled back what are verbs, the main verbs and the auxiliary verbs. The main verbs denotes what? It denotes action in a sentence, right? And what are auxiliary or helping verbs? They do not denote action directly, but they rather help the main verb to convey the message, right? And they are very important, right? And we have also seen what are modal verbs. Modal verbs are a kind of auxiliary or helping verbs which helps us to understand what the subject wants to do. It helps the main verb to convey the meaning in a better manner. And basically it is used for asking permission. It is used to show ability, right? It is used to show ability as well. So we have seen two forms of modal verbs, that is modal verbs for that permission and modal verbs of ability, where we have seen the use of can and could. Can in the present sense and could in the past tense. And also we have seen some modal verbs for permission, that is can, may, could, might. Alright, students, and I've also told you that there are 9 modal verbs which you need to remember. So students, just recall this and try to understand it. So I will be assigning you some homework in your Google Classroom related to this topic. Just try to do it and understand it and submit your work on time. So in my next class, we will be doing the topic of subject verb agreement, and we'll try to understand it and recall this topic as well. So till then, students, keep on learning, keep on smiling, stay happy and safe. Bye bye.